Well, welcome to Design and Training. I'm Richard Smith.
And I'm Caroline Crawford.
And today we are discussing virtual schools and exactly how successful they are in the K-12 arena. I just found a study which says the virtual school profits, the money, are far exceeding the performance, the academic performance of the students that graduate from them. And this I find quite intriguing. Caroline, on the other hand, is giving me a dirty look, as you can say.
It's not a dirty look. Research only suggests, it doesn't show anything. And I'm not sure that we are comparing apples to apples in this research.
Okay, so let me give you a brief background from the report that I read from the National Education Association's summary of some work by Alex Molnar, who is a pretty well-known professor from the University of Colorado Boulder. Colorado Boulder. And
New York's coming out.
it's coming out indeed. And what he finds is that the virtual schools K-12 really have very little oversight to them, academic oversight, and that while they are making money, the academic achievement levels of their students actually lags behind the academic achievement levels of their compatriots in public K-12 schools in bricks and mortar buildings.
Now, when you state that, there are two areas of concern I heard arise. One is lack of oversight. What does that mean? Lack of instructional design oversight, lack of actual instructor oversight within the online learning environment. What does that mean?
Well, since they are in essence private schools or charter type schools frequently, there is relatively less oversight in the way that they run their schools than you would find in a K-12 public school environment.
Perhaps. That is an assumption. I don't know what the actual data behind it is. But also the demographics of the students are called into question. People who self-select into virtual schools may be significantly different overall than the people who choose to maintain a traditional learning environment.
Well, interesting that you brought that up. As it turns out, that in what Dr. Molnar found was that about 75% of students in virtual schools are white students, and only about 25% of them are minority students.
I don't know what that has to do with anything, but all right.
So the
color of somebody's skin, what does that have to do with anything?
The part of, well, traditionally, white students score higher than minorities on standardized tests. I mean, that's the simple fact of the matter, for whatever the causes are.
Traditionally, okay, I'll give you traditionally.
Well, traditionally is a
over the
bad
past
word,
50 years, okay,
yes.
I'll give you that.
And also the K-12 virtual schools tend not to take as many special education students or students with handicaps admit them as students. So they've already, you would think that they would have a high...
Section 504, Section 505, all of these laws mandating that the virtual environment and the traditional environments must meet standards to support the learners. I don't care if they have learning disabilities or not. You still must be able to support the learner.
Well, correct, but the findings are that
of the people who apply to the virtual school, they are declined?
Of the people who attended the virtual schools, only 23.6% of virtual schools made adequate yearly progress. So they only 23.6% met the standard that was set by the Department of Education.
Well, again, it comes down to what is the demographic that we're talking about? The people who self-select into a virtual school environment versus people who are still mandated to go to school but choose the traditional route. Are they different people? Are they perhaps students who must work part-time in order to make ends meet for their family? Are they people who would otherwise drop out of a traditional learning environment at an earlier age, and instead of dropping out, they're taking virtual school? There are so many qualitative factors in here, demographic factors, that we don't know. Perhaps it was reflected in the full study, but I haven't seen the full study, that component of it.
Well, what I would say is that virtual schools are touted as being the equivalent of face-to-face schools. And in many ways, if they are designed correctly, the coursework is designed correctly, you really shouldn't see that much of a difference between what's happening in a virtual school academically and what's happening in a face-to-face school. But here, for some reason...
I agree with that, but okay.
Here, for some reason, the students in the virtual schools are not scoring as well academically as students who are in bricks and mortar schools. So what that's suggesting to me, whatever the student population is in the virtual schools, that the design of the courses that they are offering these students is probably not as strong as it should be.
It's probably not meeting the population type and style as it should.
It's not meeting the academic needs, whatever they may be, of the students that they have enrolled. And if they have enrolled these students, they've told their parents that they are going to teach their children at a level at least equal to that of the bricks and mortar schools, which would suggest to me, if they truly knew their student population, that they would design courses in a way, online courses in a way, that would make their courses the true equivalent of the bricks and mortar schools.
Well, and a fair question is, have the students received training to be successful within an online learning environment, or have they just been thrown in there? Well, much like when we started teaching, designing and instructing online courses, we were just kind of thrown into it. We better figure it out.
Well, that's true, but that's all part of, that's these virtual school administrators' responsibility. At this point in time, there is no excuse for not orienting your students to how they should behave in a class and what they're going to have to do. You can't simply say, oh, well, I guess we didn't do that. If we had done that, they would have scored better. No, as a virtual school operator, that's your responsibility. That's all part of the curriculum of the virtual school.
Well, just like in a traditional classroom, the first day or two, well, actually the first month, the modeling is occurring within each of the courses, each of the classroom environments. What is appropriate, what is inappropriate to do within that course environment. And the first day or two of class within a traditional environment, you're talking about the rules and regulations and what the students are supposed to do, how they are supposed to act appropriately. That, one would imagine, should also occur within a virtual environment.
You would imagine, but if we take what you're saying...
Assumption.
Then it's not happening. So what's happening...
Don't know that.
Well, I think most of the research supports that, but what is happening is that these virtual schools are operating, and they are collecting fees from parents. Taxpayers, parents, and but they are in general simply not coming through, and that's a problem. And that's
I don't know enough to state yay or nay on that,
but all right there. And that's it for this edition.
You're not going to jump on that part about, you don't know enough? That's right.
I already made the statement. She doesn't know enough.
You're Richard Smith, and I'm Caroline Crawford.